Thank you, Nishant sir, and all other participants. Now, uh, how many part? I just before moving ahead and introduce the speaker that I would like to ask the participant about their curiosity that how many participants feel that there is a use of artificial intelligence in non-profit sector as well. So it is the first sessions that we are going to organize on use of artificial intelligence, especially in the non-profit sectors. So how many participants feel that it is a need of ours? Yeah. So Sushil ji said, Manish Kumar ji. So almost all participants they said there is a need of it, and that's why we really get a support of Amar Naik ji. Where we meet in the Bangalore in one of our training programs. And since then, I insisted that I can also contribute to the non-profit sector in whatever my capacity. And as being the technologist, I thought that AI, especially with respect to non-profit, is very much important topic. He accepted our request and find time to us. So thank you, Amar Naik sir, for your time. And let me introduce our esteemed speaker today. So, sir has almost 2 decades of experience in the IT industry and has proven track record for delivering the complex and scalable product across the multiple domain and platforms, leveraging the expertise in digital transformations and artificial intelligence. Sir has, the competency includes the product building and architecting, IT consulting, delivery management. Sir has also successfully created and implemented roadmaps, standards, and process for various clients and stakeholders, ranging from fintech and banking to healthcare and non-profit organizations. Sir has also led and mentored a global team of engineers, consultants, analysts, ensuring high quality performance and professional growth. Sir has mission to empower the businesses and organization with innovative and impactful digital solution that enhance their value propositions and customer experience. Sir is currently working as a senior vice president of engineering at Divum Corporate Service Private Limited. Amar Naik sir, on behalf of development sector community, it is my honor and privilege to welcome you and learn from you the very important skill called use of AI, especially in the non-profit sectors. So without taking much time, once again, I welcome you. I also welcome all the participants who find time to join your session today. Sir, please.
Uh, Thank you very much, sir. I think it's my privilege to be here, and thanks for giving the opportunity to me to share some knowledge of mine here. To all the audience who found a time today on Saturday for hearing session, a very welcome to all of you. I think as sir has given my introduction, I'm a more of a technology person. But I also have a background of working in social sector, basically through technology. My latest stint being I worked with Google Internet Sati program, wherein we were able to empower a lot of women across India. I think around 2.5 lakh women across 2 years before COVID, right? So that experience combined with sir's, I think, commitment to social sector is. Before I start, right, I just wanted to ask, I want to request everybody, request all of you to try to be active, right? I think we will not enable voice, but I think I would expect all of you to please type in chat. So the first question I want to ask is, has any of you, used Chat GPT, right? Not as a user, but for your sector. Can you say yes or no? I can, because actually it will help me out in setting the context. Okay. Palash, yes, great. Okay. Wow. Okay, good. And anybody has been, I think that's a yes from maximum people. Okay. Ratna ma'am, no problem. Nimesh Rathod, you mentioned OpenAI. Okay. Okay. Shrisha, good. Chat GPT and Gemini, both. That's nice. Okay. Prakash, okay, at a personal level, not for office work. Pavan Kumar, that's okay. I think the purpose is that. Okay. So I think Anjali Singh, you have a question. Can you please type it out? Whatever question you have. I see you have raised your hand.
No question.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Thank you. So I think since many of you are, users of Chat GPT, right? Today, I think my session will be divided into two parts. Um, I think I would want to explain some basic concepts of AI. And that's the first part. Second part is I want to show some use cases of AI, which I have used actually. I've been working with one NGO in US for that. And I think the third section will be some successful cases with some successful case studies, right, of AI being used, right? So that is the overview that we'll have today. I think in my session, what I've tried to do is it's easy to understand concepts based on examples with human thinking. So I think I'll try to focus on that part. Just a quick brief about me. Who am I? As I think Sir has already mentioned about me, I work in Divum as a and in Divum we are majorly using AI transformation for products. I'm also an senior member at IEEE. I also a member at ACM. These are all engineering organizations. And finally, I'm also a founding member of a non-profit organization called the Independent. Over here, basically, like we believe in the power of independent thinking, and we envision that a new India is where all citizens are part of a fairer, smarter, and more futuristic community, right? Building a stronger nation. So this is just a brief about me, right? So I think what we all agree that we are here in this session today because non-profits can leverage AI. There is a lot of noise about AI, right? Among the goods and bads. I think all of you will have your own opinion in terms of Chat GPT, how good or bad it is, right? I mean, all that is true, right? I think, but what we cannot deny is AI has its pros and cons, and if it used properly, we can actually reap in benefit, right? So this particular session is going to focus upon, what is the potential of AI with some use cases, right? And I think what the purpose of today's session is to instigate thoughts in you, explain you some concepts, and also I think to show you some sample use cases, right? I think in 1.5 hour session, we will not be able to become experts, but I think what I'm expecting is whatever knowledge you have, you are getting some more insights out of it, right? Typically, most non-profits, right, they struggle with limited resources, inefficient process, and sometimes even overwhelming data, right? And that is the, I mean, that is, I mean, these are the three common issues, that we find out with, right? Now, technology has the potential, right? I mean, it's not that AI basically came out of nowhere. If people who are following technology news, AI has been there since 1950, right? But what has happened is in 2022 December, once ChatGPT launched, the processing machine costs have come down, because of which AI has become more prominent now. Before AI, there was traditional ML, which was being used. But I think what was happening is for a layman, we had to hire experts who could use it. But with ChatGPT, those things have changed, right? So for a non-profit to hire a specialized technology skill is actually a challenge for a lot of reasons. It can be financial and it can also be more of an inclination, right? So these are some of the challenges faced by it, right? So now let's just see what AI is, right? I think let's define AI, right? Can any of you define what does AI mean for you? Like, please don't give me the abbreviation of artificial intelligence, but what you feel. Can you please type in the chat box what does AI mean for you?
It's a process of harvesting of the knowledge and experience in different domains across the globe.
Okay, sir. Okay, Shirley, that's fine, perfectly fine. Anybody else? Okay. Samir, you're saying the system that can take decision on behalf of us. Okay, a powerful tool for repeatable jobs. Nishant, you're right. Something that can automate my work and even address things in edge case scenarios. Okay. Anyone else? Okay.
A software which records or analyzes our trends and patterns.
Okay. Okay. Good. Nitin, you're right. Ease of completing repeated tasks. Okay, Vikas, that's a nice way of putting it out. Hours task completed into minutes. That's good. Okay. Synchronizing the energies with multiple resources. Okay. Harvest knowledge across the globe in real time. Okay. So, okay, which embrace their ability and capacity to work. Okay. Okay. I think what all of you have said, right? I think you are bang on. But I think what is happening is there is a mixture of AI and before AI, there is machine learning, right? So I think I just want to break that barrier today, right? So let me just go to the next slide. So if you look here, right? So artificial intelligence basically refers, right, to simulation of intelligent human intelligent processor machines, right? It can involve learning, it can involve reasoning, it can involve problem solving, right? Now, artificial intelligence, as I said earlier, it's not new. It's basically has been there since 1950s, right? And it has evolved gradually over the period. The part of the evolution also because what has developed in the labs has been able to be used by normal people like you and me is just because machine processing has become smaller. Now, Professor John McAtee, right? He was the first guy who coined the term AI. Let's see what he was saying, right? He defined in 1973 as artificial intelligence as a science, right? Whose focus was just for study of problem solving and goal achieving process in complex equation, right? This was a definition, right? I mean, imagine, a person defining this at the a person defining this initially when there was no definition of AI, right? That's what Professor John McAtee had coined, right? Now, does anybody feel that whatever Professor John McAtee has coined, something should be added to it? Any thoughts? Think from a perspective of ChatGPT, right? Most of you are ChatGPT users, right? Do you think something is missing here or something professor could have redefined if professor had recoined this term in, let's say, 2023 or 2024? Any guesses? I mean, I know it's difficult to do that, but just as a normal layman, right? Because a lot of you had very good interpretations of AI, right? Yes, we can use it for simple tasks also. Agree. Self-learning system, yes. But the self-learning system is also a problem, right? I mean, today, if you look at basically, Nitin, if you look at a baby, right? Can you compare a baby and an AI? I don't think so, right? Demonstration without reference, Palash, right? Chandrasekhar, can you clarify that? What do you mean by techno-savvy approach needs to be adaptive? Yes, Dr. Boran, scouting for similar experiences, you're right. Vikas, you're right. So let's just, see, right? Basically, when you want to understand AI, right? Basically, AI learns by simulation of human intelligent processes, right? By machines, right? That's how AI does. Anurag, you're right. He calls it a study. But I think the reason for that is also because, during that time, he had never envisioned, right, how things will change, right? So AI systems are becoming stronger because somebody somewhere is telling machines how to interpret what humans are doing, right? So basically, let's assume that a simple thing like making a rice or making a dal, right? if you give it to 4 or 5 people, the steps will vary. Like the input is ingredients are same and the output is dal, but in the process that you follow in the middle, the steps that you follow, it might change based upon which part you are from, right? But what is happening is these steps that are there, basically machines are learning it out, and machines are basically able to decide. Let's assume that I am from Bangalore, so it's able to decide, okay, Amar is coming from Bangalore, so he will need a South Indian style of dal. Let's assume that I have a friend who's from Delhi, right? And so basically machines are able to decide because it has learned all the data, right? And so AI is basically learning those processes, right? Now, what is important to know is AI is basically a branch. It has multiple branches, right? I will not spend more time over here. I'll actually, talk more about it. But before I talk about the branches of AI, right, I just wanted to quickly talk about different types of AI, which is, I think, very important for all of us to know. Now, there is something called as artificial narrow intelligence, right? What it means is over here, the machine does not has any thinking ability. It just performs a set of predefined functions. If you look at any of the current AI tools, like be it Siri, be it Alexa, be it self-driving cars, or be it even the Sophia, the humanoid, right? Today, all the AI-based systems that are there, they fall under this category of AI. Basically, it's called as ANI. I mean, there will be a day. I mean, there are people who are calling that, machines can think like humans, but that is still not true, right? So this is where the current AI is. Now, next type of AI is basically called as artificial general intelligence. What it means is machines will actually possess an ability to think and make decisions just like us humans, right? Now, there are a lot of claims being made by a lot of technologists, including big companies, that we have achieved this state. But this might be in lab. It's still not happened for us as normal users to happen, right? And we have seen very few. But if machines start thinking like humans, there are even people who are worried, like Stephen Hawking he was a renowned physician, right? Renowned scientist, basically, who believe that it will be a doomsday. But I think what is important to know is we are in the transition phase from ANI to AGI. The third type of AI, which is, I think, basically, I would say a super machine. This is basically, which if any of you are watching, interested in movies, this is where, the computers will surpass the human beings in terms of thinking, in terms of reading, right? That is what is called as ASI, artificial superintelligence. So today, most of the money that is going in the AI space is going from ANI to AGI. ASI will happen or not, we don't know. But I think what is important to know is these are the different bucketings of AI. Now, this is like if you go and try to Google across, right, you might find different definitions. Like people might call ANI in a different way, AGI in a different way, or super engine in a different way. But I think what you have to understand is the today that we have machines, they're not able to think like humans. The moment they are able to think like humans, they will be called AGI. And the moment the machines are able to supersede humans, they will be called as super intelligent, right? So these are the three types of AI, which is, I think, all of us should be aware of, right? I think it's just a proper categorization, right? There's nothing right and wrong here. Now, let's just quickly go on the branches of AI. Now, the reason branches of AI is important is if you have been, in the industry, earlier, right? You would have heard about robotics. You would have heard about machine learning. I mean, I made a statement earlier that, AI has been there since 1950, right? So what does it mean? I mean, like before AI, what is there? I think to understand that, all of you need to understand the branches of AI. And I think I will try to make branches of AI simple in such a way that you are able to correlate it with your practical examples, right? The first and foremost branch of artificial intelligence is machine learning, right? In machine learning, what happens is we basically train a system to predict an outcome using past experiences, right? A simple thing is, let's assume that when we as human beings are going on a road, let's say from our house to let's say a bus stand or any other shop, right? We follow a route. For the first time, we don't know. We take help from somebody or maps, or we do it, right? Once we keep on doing it repeatedly, we don't need any help. We can directly go out there, right? And again, based on experience, we're able to decide, which route to go, which route not to go, right? So our brain has been trained, right, based on the data, and we are able to identify a pattern. Pattern is like, if I start at morning 9 a.m., there will be traffic. If I start at 11 or 2 o'clock, there will be less traffic, right? So those patterns are there. Machine learning is nothing, the same thing, right? But what is important is it basically learns based on the past experiences. So I just gave an example earlier of us driving. So another similar example can be like a baby, right? When the baby goes near a candle, when the baby is first time, the baby will burn his finger and it will hurt, right? But next time when he sees a candle, the baby will remember that if the flame can harm him, right? And it totally avoids it. So that is what machine learning is, right? And this is a very, very important branch of AI. Next thing is neural networks. Now, neural networks is basically a branch of AI, which is basically, I would say, inspired by the human brains. I mean, in human brains, we have something called neurons, which basically, and they're all connected, right? And neural networks basically uses the similar concept, right? It's basically a branch of, I would say, AI, which is basically getting inspiration from the human brains. And that's what neural networks is all about. Now, a simple thing like neural networks basically works well in terms of cats, right? Like for the first time, if you observe, any kind of animal, you'll not be able to, understand it out. Like let's assume the tiger, right? Now we understand a tiger is tiger, elephant is elephant because we have been taught in schools, right? But similarly, let's say, I just gave you a photo of a tail of elephant or a foot of elephant, right? A close up, right? You might not be able to recognize that part. But as you see those images and as you learn, right? And that's what basically neural networks does. So neural networks is a second important branch of artificial intelligence. Third important branch, which is very, very important, is robotics. Now, this is an interesting branch because finally, when we will have our, robot friends, right? They will look similar to us, right? I mean, they will be looking like human beings. And basically, it will be a combination of, I would say all types of engineering, right? And robotics is basically, a very important branch of AI because it combines all non-computer engineering branches, right? And if you have been seeing on the TV, right, there are a lot of robots coming up. Like there's a robot launched called Sophia in Dubai, right? This is a good example where they are actually using artificial intelligence, right? So robotics is a very, very important, I would say, aspect if artificial intelligence has to be our buddy. The next, I would say, crucial branch of AI is something called expert systems. Now, just observe this, why this is very important. Now, when we see something, right, with our eyes, right, we make a decision. Let's, image gets fed to our eyes, and that information goes to our brains, and we make some information. And, basically, that information is made based upon the knowledge that we have. Like for example, if you ask the same information probably to your parents or like to our elders who have much more experience, they might be having a different experience. Or if you ask this to probably like a 16 or 17-year-old kid, the experience might be different. The reason is the knowledge varies, right? And that's what expert systems is. Expert systems is a branch of AI wherein they basically try to mimic the making ability of humans. Now, how does it work? If you look at it here, I mentioned to you there are three things, right? Like interface. The user interface is nothing but like our eyes, right? Which basically takes the query and passes it on to the inference engine. What is the inference engine? Inference engine is nothing but a brain, right? So our brains are basically, they form rules and regulations based on what we have learned, right? So in expert systems also, there is something similar like inference engine. Now what happens is, inference engine will go and talk to a system called a knowledge base. Now knowledge base is nothing but a memory, right? It's a huge repository of information. Today, a chat GPT is successful because it has been trained on billions of data, right? We initially had Google search, but Google search was not so successful. I mean, people who are using multiple types of, chat GPT, like chat GPT, Claude, or Gemini, right? They will see that there will be difference in results. It's all because the knowledge matter differs, right? So expert system is a branch of AI which basically uses these three things, right? Interfaces, inference engine, and knowledge base, right? Combinedly to make a decision. So till now, we have learned about four major branches of AI, right? We spoke about machine learning, we spoke about neural networks, we spoke about robotics, we spoke about expert systems, right? There are two more key branches of AI. Let's quickly go to that. So before I step in over there, I just wanted to quickly pause and check with any of you. Do any of you have any questions? Please feel free to ask. I'll just take a pause for 2 minutes. If you have any questions, please. Okay, Nimesh, great. Okay, so we'll continue. So the fifth branch of AI, Chandrasekhar sir, I'll come to that. I have some examples, case studies, right? A practical basically, which we're using. So I'll talk about it. What we're trying to do now here, we're trying to form a basic base knowledge here, right? And I think from there we will go to that, right? Now, the fifth and very much, I would say information is basically is something called as fuzzy systems, right? Now, imagine, you look up in the sky, right? And you see a few dark clouds in a sunny day, right? After that, if let's say somebody asks you, will it rain? I mean, you cannot give an answer yes or no because you're not sure about it, right? I mean, you might say that it might rain or there is a possibility of rain, right? That's what you might say. So basically, fuzzy system is a branch of AI which is used to make sure to help out with answers where definite yes or definite no is not there, right? And that's what fuzzy system is all about. Now, if you look at the Boolean, right, it's basically 0 or 1. But the fuzzy logic doesn't require a 0 or 1, right? You can have intermediate values. Let's quickly see how a fuzzy architecture works in this particular AI, right? Now, basically, the first thing is in a fuzzy system is there is a rule-based set of rules, right? And basically there are conditions given so that when a question comes in, the rule-based system can make a decision. Now, in the second stage, what happens is the values that are passed to the system, they are basically broken down into fuzzy sets. A fuzzy set is nothing but, basically like it is possible, it might not be possible, it is possible 100%, it is not possible 200%, right? All such things, right? So that is one area, right? Once that is done, the third step is it's basically called an inference system, right? Now, this system basically decides what is the matching degree for each rule and which rules are to be fired, right? So these three combinations basically will make sure that the machine understands it, and finally a response is obtained so that it is passed to the machine. Now, please be clear that machines never understand what we speak. They only understand bits and bytes, that is zeros and ones. So any information that we give to it, it has to be converted to it. But the problem is, if there is something between 0 and 1, that's where the fuzzy things are there, and that's what fuzzy systems is called, right? So this is basically the fifth branch of AI. The last, and I would say the very important branch of AI, which is something called as natural language processing, right? So let's just quickly, let me ask you one question, right? How do we communicate to each other? can you just can you just type it out? How do we talk to each other? What's your thought? So can anybody help me out? How do we talk to each other? Let's say that I both are speaking English, or let's say that one of us can words, body language, eyes, yes, language, yes, through words and actions, okay, both oral and body gestures, right? Signs, okay, that's one way. Verbal, non-verbal communication, okay. How about something, let's assume that let's assume that I'm speaking to somebody in Hindi and I don't understand Hindi, right? How do we communicate in that case? We encode a message, Sri Lakshmi ma'am, we encode a message, send it to a medium, then it gets decided. Okay, verbal, decoded. But is it possible to communicate with everybody? Let's say India is a vast country, and I'm actually from South, and if I want to go to, let's say, North, where I don't understand Hindi, so apart from English, how will I communicate? I mean, is there any other medium to communicate? Any thoughts? Okay, Google Translation is translate, yes. So basically, okay, common sign language, okay, yes. Interpreter, yes. Translation, translator, yes. Right. Body language, yes, but sometimes I think body language becomes difficult. If you depends upon the audience, right? I mean, if an audience is not smart enough, it might not be possible to understand your body reading. Okay. Okay. Let me just, I think, come to the answer which I'm talking about here. So basically, right, we just listen to what other person is saying, right? Because today, basically I'm speaking about AI, right? We just listen to, all of us listen to what I'm saying, and we then try to understand the meaning of the speech or the discussion that you're having, and then we give a suitable reply in the same context. Like, I basically asked a question, how do we come to each other? And all of you understood that message, and they tried to give the reply in the same context, right? Now, how do we do this with machines, right? Now, I mean, we can't do this with machines, right? Let's assume that I'm sitting in front of a laptop, and if I tell him that, hey, how are you? Not understand it, right? It will basically, it has to decipher, what we are saying. And it has to respond in a way that will actually make me understand, right? And that's what NLP is all about, right? Natural language processing is all about the process of making a machine read, decipher, understand, and make sense out of human interaction, right? How does it happen, right? I'll just quickly list out the steps, right? So, typically what will happen is a person is something to the machine, right? The machine records the sound and turns that audio into text, right? The NLP system then will pass the text into components, understand the context of the conversation and the intention of the person, right? Based on the results, the machine determines which command should be executed, right? Let's assume that I ask the machine that, hey, give me this, right? So basically, machine is taking my voice, it is converting that voice into text, and basically then each of my text is broken into components, and based on the component decides what to respond, right? That's what NLP does, right? So what we covered till now is basically, different branches of AI, right? Now let's come to a very important. This will be my last slide on understanding of AI. I think this is a slide which I want you guys to focus on, right? Very much important is because today AI, right? But there's something called Gen AI also, right? So what is the difference between AI and Gen AI, right? That's a question that I get asked very frequently in traditional ML, right? So here is a simple, I would say a graphics, which basically shows what AI is, what traditional ML is, what generative AI is, right? Now, you have to understand, right? The purpose of AI, what is the purpose of each of these things? I think that will actually clarify a lot of the things, right? Purpose of AI is to basically develop computer systems that can perform tasks that typically require human intelligence, right? That is what AI is all about, right? Now, and I think we talked about 3 types of AI. hopefully AI reaches that stage, but I think AI is trying to, I would say, mimic human beings. I think human intelligence, right? Traditional ML, or before AI, or which is a subset of AI, it used to make just predictions or decisions based on given data, right? It was basically taught, some historical data was given, and it is to make a prediction based on that. Gen AI is nothing but it tries to generate new data samples, right? And today, if you go and ask a question, what is this session all about? To all of you, the answer will not be same. It will give a different answer. So generative AI, what it is trying to do is it is trying to create new context based on the same things of record, right? So this differentiation is a simple differentiation, and I think you have to understand out, right, how machines are behaving differently, right? Now, I think what you have to also understand is Gen AI is a subset of traditional ML, and traditional ML is a subset of AI, right? So AI is a bigger bucket, right? And if you go and probably Google across of this thing, right, you'll find much bigger buckets. But I think this particular diagram, the purpose is to be clear what ChatGPT is doing, what AI machines can do, and what basically the old machines, the traditional ML was doing, right? So that's what it is, right? So I'll not go to the data interaction part. I hope this slide sets the context. If anybody has any doubts, feel free to ask before I move to the next slide. Especially as a ChatGPT user, right? If you feel that something is not something you're seeing.
Hello, Amar sir, we lost your voice.
No, sir. I'm just paused. So if anybody has any questions, they can ask for it. That's the reason I paused.
Okay, sir.
So as a ChatGPT user, right? I think a lot of people, I would say 60 to 70% plus people were ChatGPT users, right? Do you find any negative things about it, and based on your experience, which you would like to share here with the group? I mean, if you have no negative things, please you feel free to say no, right? That's also a good answer, right? Okay. Nazar ma'am, can you just type it out? What was the negative things you have find it out? Or you can also speak if you feel typing is going to take time. Anything that's comfortable. It can impersonate people and situations. Okay. Okay, Nishan. And please try to be participative. If you have no, please try to say, I think the prompts are to be carefully drafted. Also, it is to generate its responses. Yes, right. There are limitations to the language it can understand. Sri Lakshmi ma'am, when you say that, do you mean if you type in a language other than English, it doesn't understand? Abhijit, that data till 2022, that can be easily overrun if you have a paid subscription or if you're using Bing Copilot, right? I think the Bing Copilot is using the latest data. Okay.
Can't rely blindly on the responses and answer given by ChatGPT.
I'm sorry, can you please repeat it again?
I'm saying can't blindly accept or rely on the answer given by ChatGPT. You have to be very careful whether the response or result is accurate.
Definitely agree. That is a very nicely put response. Shilakshmi ma'am, have you tried using any other language, like were you not able to like decipher it? Because I tried it in Hindi and Konkani, which is my mother tongue, and in Hindi it was giving better results, where not good. So have you tried it in some other language? So Nitin, I mean, you can call it insecurity, but I think also you can also think it as positive way, right? That it's some of the tasks which could have been done. It gives you more free time, and you can use it for some other productive tasks. Okay. Surely, ma'am, our thinking capacity will be reduced. I would say we'll become much more faster thinker. Like, for example, before calculators, before calculators came in, right, or digital computers came in, right, we were doing it, right. But I think with calculators coming up, we are not become that. So I think it's a temporary phase that we're going to go about. So, Srilakshmi ma'am, what you tried in Malayalam, right? Was it only on ChatGPT, or did you try it in some other things also? Have you used any other tools apart from this? Abhijit, agree. Fetching links. I'm assuming, Abhijit, what you mean is fetching links is the problem, right? It's something, it is not able to fetch links, right? Is that right? It can be addictive and also create more dependency on AI tools. So Nitin, I think all of us have been indirectly using AI tools from the time the smartphones have been launched to the market, right? Like, if you look at ads, if you look at, social media, if you look at a phone apps, right? I think it has been learning based on our data, right? So we are basically using it out. Palash, can you give an example about what do you mean with thought process reduce? Like, how do you feel it's reducing and not expanding? Can you give an example? It's a very good point, but I would like to understand, right? How do you feel it's reducing rather than not increasing it out? Chandrasekhar ji, agree with you? See, Bard is Abhijit ji, Bard is as good as what you're saying. But if you look at some of the latest launch, like by Amazon, right, Claria, I think they're actually getting better, right? So ready-made illustration without evidence, yes, agreed. When you say without evidence, you're talking about reference to the original ones, right? That's what you mean, is what I'm saying. Okay, so let's quickly go to the applications, right? I think in this application part, right, I wanted to actually talk about two things. One was basically, these are generic applications, right? I think I have only 2 or 3 examples listed out here. I also wanted to basically show you out one of the applications that I'm developing for one of the customers. It's basically, I'll just show you what I'm doing so that it actually helps you out, right? So I think chatbots is the biggest, I would say, usage of Gen AI based
Amar sir,
is it better
sir, your voice is breaking now.
now, sir?
Now you just speak little more than we able to get.
Okay, sir. Yeah. So I was basically talking about this chatbots. So from the time Gen AI has been launched, I think the AI-powered chatbots is something has been used very frequently. Most of the chatbots that were there earlier, basically they were rule-based chatbots. With the introduction of Gen AI, a lot of the chatbots is basically becoming more intelligent, right? It is able to understand the user needs. Personalization is getting better. But I think chatbots are actually doing a much better job now. Like, for example, if I am a user who's sitting in Bangalore and if I log into my account and if somebody else is coming up, right, it's able to understand. That is the beauty of I would say things. Second biggest, I would say, application which is happening in social sector is fundraising. Now, this is very, I think, I'm not sure about the Indian context, but I think in US context, a lot of the, social sectors, right, they're using chat GPT and all for actually use fundraising applications, right? The grant applications. typically one of the major challenges that happens in grant writing applications is people don't know how to start, where to start, what to search, right? And how to write the application, how to make it better, right?
Amar sir,
And
sorry to
people
interrupt you.
typically
I think some network challenge at your end. Your voice is breaking intermittently.
is it the same problem with everyone, or just
Sir, I think maybe everyone.
Yes, for everyone.
sir, I'll join in again. Just give me 2 minutes.
Okay, sir, please. Perfect.
Sir, is it better now?
Sir, you continue. If there is problem arise, I will talk with you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. So, as I was saying earlier about this, fundraising, right? I think this is one of the common applications where people are using ChatGPT for. But what is also coming out is, ChatGPT is not actually helping a lot of users, right? And this is something, a quick summary I wanted to present for everybody here. I think what is happening is when you look at ChatGPT, uh, it helps in
Amar
giving
sir, Amar
the
sir, again the same.
faster response, like you know,
Amar sir, we
as
again
a
your
new user, basically who doesn't understand the domain, it quickly gives me some response, which is good. It's advantage.
sir, we again your voice is breaking, sir.
Um, Okay.
Amarji, if you are using wireless headphone,
Are you using
kindly
hearing, sir?
replace it.
हाँ सर.
No, sir, I'm not using wireless headphone. Looks like some problem with the signal.
Better?
Sir, are you able to hear me now? Hello?
Sorry, sir, you just try it out. We'll see that, sir. As presentation is not visible now,
Okay,
sir.
sir. Okay, 1 minute, sir. I will present it.
Sanjay sir, if you have copy of presentation, you share it from your end and let him keep his video and everything off and not sharing. So I think bandwidth may improve. Thank you.
Thank you, Samir sir. Amar sir, will you share me the PPT in mine, so I will share.
Yes, sir, I'll do that, sir. I'm just sharing the PPT to you.
This NCD.
I'll just share you the link on WhatsApp. You can use it from there.
Amar sir, my email ID is ncd@ncdindia.org.
Okay, sir. Yeah, got it.
Amar sir, I'm going to share from my screen right now. Is it visible for you, sir? Amar sir, are you able to hear me? Amar sir, are you able to hear me?
Sanjay ji, I think you need to contact him over mobile to him. Network challenge that is, and like.
Amar sir, are you able to hear me now?
Sir, can you hear me now? Hello?
Sir,
Can you hear me now, sir?
Yes.
Amar Naik sir, are you able to speak something?
Hello? Sir, I'm able to hear you. Can you hear me? Okay, Manish, I think you can hear me. I'm not sure if Professor Sanjay can hear me.
Vanani Naik, sir, you are audible.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Great. Yeah. Sir, so basically, sorry everybody for the trouble because of my bad internet connection. I think
Sir, please continue.
yeah. So I think the point I was trying to make through the slide is that that with ChatGPT, right? It with all its advantages, with any AI machine, right? With all its advantages, we should make sure that you have the right domain knowledge. Today, if you go to ChatGPT and if you ask it to give any information, and if you tell it to give references, sometimes the references are not correct, right? So as some of you rightly said, whatever ChatGPT gives, it is basically it produces some information. It might factually or not factually correct, right? And that is what I think ChatGPT is probably not good at. But what ChatGPT can actually help you out is it can help you out in giving ideas. So, for example, this particular PPT talks about and disadvantage. And I think no is ChatGPT as is or any other tool like be it Bard anything, right? It's not actually a good application of giving the information without verifying it. So in your organization, in any of your organization, if you're going to use ChatGPT, please use the information. Please double verify whatever information you want to send it across, right? But if you want to use the information for some kind of analysis, let's assume that you have an Excel sheet of data, right? And that data you need to analyze. Actually, ChatGPT is much better because you are giving the data and you are getting the response, and ChatGPT is much more useful. But if you're trying to get information from it for something that you don't know, typically as a like in the industry, when I use any kind of AI tools, I try to verify the information 2 to 3 places. I also still use Google search and try to make sure that whether the information is authentic or not. And third thing is though AI systems come in, domain knowledge that each of us have working in the industry, that actually can, with that information, you can basically augment your whole knowledge. That is what I wanted to talk about this thing. Sir, can you go to the next slide? So the last thing which I wanted to talk about here is program delivery, right? Which is a very important aspect of any kind of things, be it resource allocation, be it some kind of analytics, or if you come across some information, let's assume that you are doing something in child safety, or you're doing something for let's say tree plantation or water preservation, right? If you want to collaborate, or if you want to see what others are doing, typically we used to do, typically will happen is you'll go to Google search and try to go in and try to find similar sectors. I think the power of AI machines basically comes from the fact that they've already scanned this information already available in basically on the internet, and program delivery to make it much more optimal. I think you can actually use this tool very much effectively, and that is what I meant over here by program delivery. Sir, can you go to the next slide? Okay, so sir, be at example slide only. So I'm not able to show the example slide. The example that I had in my computer, but I want to talk about it out, right? So one of the examples that I am working with is one of the NGOs based in US. So this particular NGO is being manned by 5 people, right? And what happens is they have a lot of pro bono volunteers. So every time anybody joins them or goes to them, right, they get asked similar set of questions. And basically what happens is there's lack of time for these 5 volunteers to spend time with a new person, right? So basically I am working with this particular this NGO to build a AI system. What the AI system does is it reads through all the information that particular this NGO has done. So, and it basically stores in the memory. So whenever somebody joins in, let's assume that he asks that, hey, when did you guys start? What are the rules and regulation system? Any question that you have, that basically gets answered through this whole thing. Now, if you look at my background, right, coming from the industry, right, this is a very simple problem. But the challenge is this NGO basically, they also have a cash crunch. Typically, most of the technology solutions fail in social sector because the cloud bills are high, or the technology person who's investing on it basically he's very resourceful, right? So we are basically using open source solutions here. I will actually send out this particular recording of the video after this thing. So through this, what we're able to do is this particular NGO, they have around 20 to 20 documents, each of around 50 to 60 pages. We have loaded to the machine. Anybody who comes in joins, basically we have given him the prompts, right? So we have given like 10 to 20 prompts, which he has to type on that machine, and he'll get the answers. Those prompts we have designed for him so that he can really get the answers. Apart from that, anything can be done. So by this thing, what we have done is we reduce the onboarding time. We reduce the amount of time basically, any new joinees is to, understand it out. And we're also trying to make sure latest information available. For example, typically what happens is, this happens in all sectors. Anybody who comes in and updates the information, right, that information doesn't get updated. But what we have done with this NGO is every week, any document that gets updated, we're basically feeding it to this particular program, so it gets runs on it. Now, typically, in industry, what we will do is we'll have a nice app or a nice website where people can go in and it will run effortlessly, right? But for this NGO, what we are doing is this application runs only from morning 9 to evening 5. So when somebody comes into the office, he will start it, because we wanted to keep it pretty, I would say, cost saving, right? And so we have done some hacks so that we don't have to go through the cost. At the same time, we're able to use the technology benefit, right? So this is one example. Second example which we are working is, so this is another NGO where basically they are working for a different cause, right? So basically, they are based out in Africa, and some of them are based out in, I would say, in Asia. What happens is when they want to spread the information, right? Basically, let's assume that, and the center office is, let's say, in, US, right? So they want to share the information in India, let's say in Hindi or local language, right? Basically, initially, these agencies used to hire, I would say, translators who used to basically convert that information into basically a local language, and then that is to get this thing, right? Now what we're doing is with Chat GPT, and there is some other custom based things which I can't speak about it because it's a proprietary thing. But again, it's a proprietary thing because this particular NGO has got a grant from that particular company as a CSR budget to use the proprietary thing. So with this, they've eliminated the job of translators, right? So, I mean, from a human side, it is bad. But if you look from the NGO side, what benefit is given to them is they do not have to rely on any translators. So the message that comes basically from the central office sitting in, like, US, it gets translated to the local languages as it is, right? So these are two use cases which I have basically been working actively, with the NGO side, which are good applications, right? So I think some of you mentioned in the chat that it's not working out local languages. Even I've observed that, right? Like, it's not working fine in probably one of the users mentioned about Malayalam, Konkani. But I think there are multiple applications coming up. Like, if you look at IIT Madras, they're developing something called Bhashini, which basically is going to work with it. And we also have Reliance, which is working on Hanuman or Bharat GPT, right? Which is going to be a good conglomerate of all the Indian languages, right? So hopefully once they comes in, basically it's going to help us out in the local languages. But I think currently with at least English and Hindi, Chat GPT or Bard or even Claude, which is basically the Amazon version, they're working beautifully, and they're actually serving the purpose that they want, right? Like, so basically whenever a festival happens, some of the NGOs are basically able to just ask for the message that they want to translate, right? So the whole content team and marketing team basically for this the language which are very common, they're actually gone through, right? So these are the two examples I think which I wanted to speak about. I mean, you will find many more examples on the web, but these two examples I found were relevant because it's something I have been working out with the NGOs, right? And they've actually been working out very effectively for us. Okay, so I think we'll move on. Sir, can you move on to the next one? Sir? Yeah, sir, can you go to the next one?
Case study.
Next slide. Next, yeah, please go to next slide, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, please. Yeah. Okay, sir. You can stop now, sir. So this case studies, right? These are basically, I would say, examples. Okay, sir. You just pause for now, right? Right, sir. So these case studies are basically, when I'm looking at case studies, with very good examples in social sector, right? Basically, what I have heard from my contacts in NGO sector is there are a lot of Indian, basically, I would say, sectors which are using AI, but I don't have examples of them, so I've not added them out, right? So over here, I wanted to give example is basically of this. The first one is basically in education sector. What they are basically doing is whenever the startup founder, right, of this, the first one, the solveeducation.org, right? They wanted to basically launch anything, right? They basically used to have hire consultants, and do a lot of things. Now what they have done is the initial set of ideas basically they're able to generate through Chat GPT, right? So now they are basically into education system. So basically, they are focusing on marginalized kids to help them out learn, languages, right? I would say mathematics and different things. So what this particular NGO has done is through AI tools, they're able to create the initial content, right? Only when they are doing the final round of discussions or something, they actually hire the I would say the expert team, right? So the initial discussions basically get streamlined, and through this they're able to actually reduce a lot of cost, right? That is one example. Second example is basically this company called as Meals on Wheels. This is basically a US based I would say NGO which provides basically meals for a lot of folks. They have been nicely been using this AI for actually finding places, the optimal routes that can be used. Now, in the study that they have basically had, right, they basically did not have any kind of, they did not compare themselves with, what they had. Their problem was they were not able to use any kind of paid tools for optimal routing algorithms, right? With AI and open source tools, basically they have been able to save, not using versus with AI, right? They're able to save 20-30% of benefits, right? So these are two good examples. I'll talk about two more examples. Sir, can you go to the next slide? Keep going, sir. Yeah, pause, sir. Yeah. So the first one, right, Habitat for Humanity, right? They are basically focusing on, this is another NGO. Basically, they are trying to focus on saving time by eliminating tasks which their team used to do, by automating those tasks, right? That is one thing. Second use case, basically, if you look at it, they are basically into pet adoption, and they are basically being used, I would say, able to improve their pet adoption rate by using AI-based tools. Now, if you look at it, the simplest use case over here is marketing. So they have been able to, focus on right areas with AI, and I think basically reaching out to the right marketing to right people. I mean, it's a very difficult thing. I mean, people spend a lot of money on marketing, especially in the NGO sector where funds are less. With AI being able to target specifically, I think that's a great achievement, right? So these are the 4 case studies which I wanted to quickly, show today, right? I think I'll pause here. I think if there are any questions, I would like to hear, because I think the remaining set of slides are more in terms of responsible AI. I think please ask any question that you have.
Sir, you talk
I saw.
about.
I'll reply to that message, sir. I saw the message from Shelly, ma'am.
But I have maybe.
Yeah, please go ahead, sir. Yeah.
Another question mine is like, sir, you talk about there are certain free and open sources. So would you like to name it? Is it for only non-profits or other all for all the open source
Sir,
platforms?
open source platforms can be used by anybody. It's not only for non-profits, right? But the challenge
Okay.
lies in how to configure them, right? Like basically, there are two kinds of things, right? There are non-profits which have technical teams. So for them to use open source is very easy, right? But there are some there are some non-profits who don't have technical teams, right? For them to use open source is a bigger challenge, right? So what I can do is I can send out a list of tools, right, which we can email to all the audiences who have joined today, right, so that they can look at those tools, because there is open source which can be configured with tech people, and there's open source which can be used by anybody without any knowledge of tech, right? I think for non tech side, I would say for non-profit side, the first thing should be they should be able to use any tools without much of technical knowledge. That should be the first priority.
Correct, sir.
Can you please talk more about the fundraising, how it exactly happens from the donor to the recipient?
So, ma'am, typically what happens, right? In fundraising, the biggest challenge is, first of all, you have to find out the applications, right? That is the first step, right? I mean, you have to find out which applications are open, which applications not open, right? That's the first step, right? So your AI can actually help you out in finding those things, like which things are going on, which things are not going on, right? That's the first step. Second step is writing an application, right? Now, most of us basically have limitation writing the applications because our language English is not our first language, and the ability to put the story right, that is where AI can actually be better. Let's assume that I'm writing an application for climate change, right? If I go to ChatGPT and tell that, hey, can you help me write an application with ChatGPT, it'll write for you. But if I go into ChatGPT and tell about them, that if I give some more information about myself, let's assume that I tell it that, hey, I have been into 5 years in the climate change perspective. I have done this successful project. with this context, can you help me out, make my application better? So ChatGPT can actually, with better context, the AI, your application can be made much better, right? So these are the positive sides where AI can actually help you to write the application faster. Most of the times, what has been observed is applications don't get submitted because the questions are tough and people are not able to decipher that or put a good application. I hope I was able to answer your question.
Yes, yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, ma'am.
Amaji, you talk about, first of all, you should have some CRM application which allow to connect AI tool to do the analysis part of it. So what all type of connectors it's allow? Again, yeah, it is depend on the application first of all, but yes, what all the connectors we generally use to prepare or create a secure connectivity, because many of our application might have sensitive data stored, especially with the personal information of beneficiaries or donor information. And these tools are open source tools. So how can we ensure that the data should not get misused or should not get compromised?
Okay, sir. Sir, one question before I answer that. Is budget a constraint?
Of course, if you're working in a non-profit, that will always be a big question.
Okay, sir. So there are two ways of doing it, right? The reason I ask this question is, I mean, the best solution that we are doing for in a private industry, right? The best solution that we're doing for a lot of customers is developing a private application for them, right? It is, I mean, the data doesn't go outside. Like today in ChatGPT, whatever we type in, right? Everybody can access it. Anybody, right? That is the first thing. I mean, so developing a custom application is the best way, right? That is I would say best way. Second way is you develop a custom application, but run it on your local machine, right? If you have tech teams who can basically help you out, if you run it on local machine, basically the data cannot go out, right? That is second way. Third way is you can anonymize it, right? I mean, like say, assuming that your donor's name, right? You can anonymize the data, and you can actually anonymize the figures, and with that analysis also you can use the data, right? So these are the three typical ways, right, which we do it. Anonymization is what I have seen being done mostly by a lot of social sectors, because that helps out, that removes the headache of creating or maintaining the own application.
Got it. Thank you, sir.
Sure.
Yeah. Hi. Can you talk a little bit about on costing part as well? So as you have shared 4 example, on all example are customized uses of AI tools. So if one have to develop or one has to develop any customized solution, what are the costing ranges and what are the kind of costing required in such kind of solution?
So I will not talk about a costing range, okay? I mean, I'll talk about what are the different heads you have to think about, okay? So for example, let's assume that you have to develop a custom solution, okay? The first step is you need either an agency who will develop it for you, or you need basically an engineer, right, who can work with you on a pro bono basis, or however he or she is comfortable with, right? That's the first step, right? The second step is if you want to make the application run right on a cloud. The cloud builds is the biggest, I would say, the more than the agency, the cloud builds is the bigger effort, because the application will be running for some more, like for infinite time, like till the time your organization is there, right? So the biggest cost will be a cloud bills, right? Now, if you are a new NGO, you can basically, each of the cloud providers like Azure, AWS, anybody, right? They have actually some credit systems for, system. Like when I was working with Internet Sati, it was basically funded fully by Google. So, the NGO with which I was working with, they did not have to pay any cloud bills, right? So our bills were like, I would say, varied from anywhere from 6 lakhs to like 16 lakhs per month, just the cloud bills, right? So that was fully being paid by Google, right? So that is one option you can explore, right? Wherein, if you can get some funding from a cloud agency, right? So I would say these are the two major costing, right? The agency cost and the cloud bills, because cloud bills is a recurring bill, right? And that is what you will have to incur. And the reason I am not giving you the funding cost is because, the costing varies based on the agency, right? Like, for example, an agency might be able to deploy one person to you, and, the cost might vary from 2 lakhs per month to, I would say, 3 to 5 lakhs per month, right? That's where the cost varies from.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Can I also ask this? You mentioned on the three types of AI. So I think there's artificial super intelligence, right?
Yes,
Which
yes,
the
yes.
computers surpass the human being. So I would like to know when and how this artificial super, this kind of intelligence will be in the social sector and impact.
So I think, ma'am, this particular thing is a hypothetical existence, which has been, I would say, modernized through movies, right? I think as of today, everybody's focus is on making on the second part, AGI, right? Because the first step is to make sure at least they're able to think like humans, right? That is the first step. So, and as per the latest predictions, what is going on, uh, it the AGI might happen somewhere this year, right? I mean, that's what Nvidia is saying. That's what Elon Musk is saying. That's what Satya, everybody's saying. But I think for me, if the second level of AGI, the real AGI will happen when it's available to mass users like you and me, right? Like today, ChatGPT, any of us can use. So all of us have opinion, right? If that, so for me, ASI is still, I would say, 3 to 4 years down the line. And if ASI really happens, then I think we would not need, I would say we can actually hire intelligent robots to support us out for all our tasks, right? But I think that is still far away. And I would say at least minimum 3 to 4 years.
Okay, thank you. And this generative AI same like the AGI?
Uh, Generative AI is the first bucket, ma'am. Generative AI is the current one, where it's not able to think like humans. When it start thinking like humans, that will be the second bucket, AGI.
Okay, got it.
When it replaces humans, it will be ASI. That is the third bucket.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sure.
So, any more question from participant side? Any more questions from participant side? So, I think there are many ways to use, especially AI in our field. So, someone has to figure out that what are the challenges and how this kind of the challenges can be integrated with the technology. And based on that, someone can suggest the solutions, or maybe and uh, there are maybe local, there are IT professionals, like we have good colleges where we can also hire intent, we can share the problems, our problems with them, and they maybe propose the good solution for us. If you see that there are many engineering or computer colleges run the MCA, BCA programs or engineering programs, and if we, they onboard the interns from there, and as a part of our UGC and other higher education authority, they also have some internship, right? So if we can hire an intern from them, I think, and we share with our problems with them, they maybe suggest some solution, I think, with the low cost model, or can suggest some ideas about this. Sir, Amar sir, am I right?
Yeah. Sanjay sir, I have one
Ah,
input to give. Can I?
please, sir. Please, sir. Please, Nitin, sir.
Yeah.
Please.
So recently I worked as an IT consultant in one of the very renowned NGO, and I also implemented few AI chatbots and all. The challenge, what I found that Amar sir also told that you must have some IT technical staff if you want to introduce such kind of AI systems in non-profits for a longer time. Because what happened, you go and implement even as a volunteer or even as a college students or even as an IT company, they offer the solutions to the NGO, they implement that, but still they don't have the sufficient staff or trained staff to run it for a longer time. And after some time, they will stop using that, so it's a waste of time and energy, loss of energy, which I found in few NGOs which I worked with recently in this. So I think if they really wants to get the benefit and all, they must have some kind of professionals, and they must have some kind of good budget. If they really want to, get some more benefit out of that. Maybe it's in donations or fundraising or attract more volunteers and all. Yeah, this is my
Another
input.
suggestion I would have is if collaborations can happen, right? Because if basically there is a saying, right? Single paise. I mean, you earn small dots, boon boon pani se, like the sea forms, right? If all the things can come together, right? I think small budgets can actually help a good way, because though the sectors are different, I think technology solutions can actually develop for one social sector can be used across. But what is happening is the big companies, whatever they're developing, they're actually patenting into solutions, so they're not being able to use, right? So cross collaboration might be one way of using it out. And second thing, I think, which is a very important insight, which I want to share with all of you is, I think technical people are needed. I don't deny that part, right? But I think where we are also going towards the world is where more than technology, your ability to prompt is very, very important, right? I mean, I can create a whole product from ChatGPT. I mean, the reason I can do it is I'm a technology person, and I can ask ChatGPT the right set of questions. So your ability to prompt or ask right question is going to be very, very important. So any of the colleges that I visit, right, I tell engineers, don't think about like data science engineers or something, right? Think like AI engineers. And AI engineers means your prompting skills have to be good, and a good prompting skill comes from experience. And I think what you ask the machine will actually give you that, right? So I think that's where the world is slowly changing towards, right? I mean, why I'm saying that is, let's assume that as each of you, as from a social sector, each of you are the best people to know your product, what you want, right? Typically, when you work with the agency, you'll explain to the agency what you want, and they will start documenting the requirement. They will create some screens, and they'll say this is how your product will look and all, right? But you have the best thing in your mind. So I think, how do you convert your thought in the mind to the actual product? You can use AI tools to actually come out with that, right? I think that's where AI tools can actually help in closing the gap much faster.
Okay, so thank you, Amar sir. I also share one feedback form. Kindly share your feedback so that we will also share the material and other things which is received by the speaker. But before to go out, anyone would like to share anything, any experience or any tool or any good things for these sectors people? We have, I think, very good, the discussion and especially sensitization that what exactly the AI and how it is going to develop. Even the sir is also talk about the recent new development called Bharat. It is called Bharat, sir. Amar sir, Bharat.
Yes, it's called
AI,
Bharat. It's called Bharat GPT. Yeah, and
Bharat
it's
GPT.
also called as Hanuman. It will be launched by Reliance.
Okay.
So there are two things. One is Bhashini, which is being developed by IITs, which they are working on all languages. Second is Bharat GPT, and Bharat GPT is multiple flavors. But I think if you look at Bharat GPT Reliance, I think that's going to be a very good use case for all the Indians.
Okay. So any question? Manish sir, please.
Yeah. One request, Amarji, due to some
Yes, sir.
internet challenge at your end, I believe we lost, basically we lost the time, but there are certain slides which you supposed to cover. Is it possible for you to record a session and share with us, because it is very interesting and very insightful thing, because that will really help us to plan our technological development and resource utilization accordingly.
Okay, sir. I can. So the remaining slides which are remaining, sir, they're talking about some ethical principles, right? I will record the session and I'll send it across. Not a problem. I can do that.
Great.
Or sir, we can also think, your one more session for next week or maybe whatever time you find, and we'll invite the
Sure,
same
sir.
group and because
Oh, we can do that, sir. No problem.
for sharing and knowledge, we are always hungry and greedy, sir.
Definitely, sir. I think in that
And
session we will do more hands-on. I will actually bring on some tools and do it. That session will not theoretical, right? I can actually show how things can be done. So that session will be much more interesting.
So, sir, we want your one more session, and definitely, once we decide, we will send the invitation to all the participants. Right, sir? And sir, anything in the last that you would like to share, or any participant would like to submit?
I just want to say one thing, sir, that
Please, sir.
there is a lot of negative apprehensions about AI, right? But I think anything that comes, be it technology or be it anything in our life, right? When we food or anything or air, whatever, right? Everything has pros and cons. So I think we should focus on the positive side of things, and I think AI can actually benefit a lot to the social sector, especially because social sector has got a lot of issues in terms of resource crunch, operational challenges, right? And I think AI can actually help away a lot. But I think the only gap that I see for social sector is the lack of tech knowledge and the lack of probably the budget for tech side of things, right? Which basically is the gap which has to be filled. Because if that gets filled up, right, I think nothing like it.
But Amarji, uh, actually, that is why my question came. So, if you in the upcoming session, if you also share some suggestions or way to address the second challenge, especially that what kind of collaboration you spoke about it a little bit, what kind
Yes,
of
yes,
collaboration, what kind
yes,
of volunteerism that
yes.
we can look, because this challenge will remain and we have to live with this challenge. But if you also share us some suggestions, alternatives, or the way to get support, because the social sector also looks into the larger cause. So how
Correct.
to address this funding issue, grant issue,
Mhm.
that could be a something. So if you also share in your next session some suggestions, some practical ways to get or leverage this support in one way
Okay,
or other way, so that would
sure.
be very helpful, sir.
Definitely, sir. I can definitely talk about it. Yeah, because I myself am volunteering pro bono for some organization, right? So I can talk from based on my experience with other NGOs, and yeah, definitely I can talk about it. Yeah,
Thank you very much.
sure, sir.
So, yeah, so thank you, everyone. And
Um,
please, anyone would like to say something?
yes, hello everyone. My name is Sri Lakshmi. Thank you so much, Amar sir and Sanjay sir, for giving this wonderful webinar. I just had one request. So like all of us development professionals, how can we keep updating ourselves about the upcoming technology and you know make the optimum use of AI technology? So if you could also share insights on that, then that would be awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
So
Sri Lakshmi, ma'am. Please, Amar, sir.
yeah, yeah. So Shilakshmi ma'am, I think two things, right? Keeping updating yourself with technology is something I would say. Rather than that, I think you should have a clear use case in mind, right? I'll tell you why, right? So in to me, right, when any customers come up, right, like today for example, all the customers that I work with, everybody wants to say that they want some AI use case in their particular tool or technology, right? But when I ask them what so I tell them that I will do AI, but when I ask them, hey, what do you want to solve through AI, I think they are not clear on that. So basically, if having a clear use case is the first step, and then based on the use case, you're looking at the right tool is basically the right way to go. Because AI is not the solution for everything. If all the problems in the world, AI is not the solution, right? I'll give you 100% of the time. Because AI has become a fad word. Like it's become like a technical jargon. And for a lot of reasons, when you say that I'm using this AI-based solution, people get attracted to it out, right? So my suggestion to you would be have a clear use case, and based on that use case, look for the tools. And basically, if there are no tools, I think that's a different problem. But most of the use cases in the social sector have some other way, right? So that is the way I would say please approach it.
Okay, so thank you, Amar, sir. And I'm sure that you will also give at least 1.5 hour more to have a the more specific discussion, and I think the people will also include something so that as being a technologist, you will also have some ideas, and at least you and I think Nishant sir is also here, may help the Indian non-profits to develop one good tool for these sectors. And thank you all participants for joining us. Kindly share your feedbacks so that in the next session it will be covered up. And whenever we will launch the session, we'll definitely invite you specifically for this session participants. Thank you everyone for joining us. See you in the next session. So in the next session that we have a very important topic. It's called this social service ethics in Islam. So I'm really happy that if anyone is interested on that particular part, they are most welcome to join. Once again, I repeat, our next session title is Social Service Ethics in Islam. So that you are most welcome to join. Thank you one and all for joining this session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.